All right, let's talk about type classification. We kind of hit upon this earlier last week, but let's take a look at some examples in here in your overview for this week. So type classification is important because there's different classifications of typefaces that go along with certain eras, certain connotations, and also look visually different. So here we are, we have humanist, old style, transitional, modern, slab serif, and sans serif. These are all type classifications. Now there's typefaces that are named under each of these that we're going to also look at. But as we go forward here, let's look at the 1400s, which starts with the humanist classification. And these were the first Roman letters. They were lighter and more open. And you can see here how the serif is a little bit more bulky, and you have the tilted access and crossbar in this little lowercase e. The typefaces that would be under humanist, for example, would be Jensen or Centaur. If you ever taken a look at those examples, here's a visual as well in a body copy. So that was more of the humanist. And in the 1500s, the 1700s, it was all about refining. And as we go forward, the old style in the 1500s came about. And these typefaces under this characterization, classification, I should say, are typefaces such as Garamond, Bamboo, and Caslon. They're the first italic letters that you've had in typography that came about. They're more refined letter forms, higher contrast between strokes. And as you can see here, the serifs are smaller. You can see on this A, the wedge-shaped ascender as well is a tall tale sign that this is an old style classification typeface. Almost vertical access and horizontal crossbar is shown as well, as you can see in this lowercase e. In the mid 1700s, we're looking at, again, tradition. So traditional, mid-late 1700s, sorry, less emphasis on calligraphy and proportionate and precise typefaces existed here, came about. Typefaces under transitional, not traditional, are Baskerville, Times New Roman, and Clearface. And they have a higher contrast. You can see here with the strokes and the sharper serifs that they have as well in this letter A. And the vertical access is definitely a little bit vertically taller there. You can see that in that example. We go from transitional into the modern typefaces, so late 1700s, early 1800s. These typefaces include Dido, Bodoni, and Moderno, or Moderno. They're abstract and dehumanized. Their extreme contrast is what depicts this particular modern classification of typefaces. They have hairline serifs, thin and thick strokes, and higher contrast. In the 1800s, it's all about making it bigger. So we're talking about slab serif, big and bold, so advertising display type. You can see here embellished serifs, thick, chunky serifs. Some of these include extra condensed and fat face. You can see these examples. And also in this newspaper here of what a slab serif looks like. Then we go into the 1900s, designing a universal visual language is what we're focusing on in this era. So the sans serif came about, AKA grotesque. So they're square, triangle, and circle. So they're more symmetrical. They have no serifs. So some of these typefaces included under the sans serif is, of course, the popular Helvetica, Universal, and Futura. You see these typefaces a lot on signage. It's a very neutral typeface, very easy to read as well. So just so you know, we talked about serif and sans serif. I know I posted in announcements this little infograph as well. A serif has little feet, I call it, and sans serif means without, absent. Wait, there's actually one more. You have decorative fonts too. So you have these widely talked about decorative fonts. You have Papyrus, Cooper Black, Brush Script, Hobo. I'm sure you guys have all maybe played around with that. So let's go ahead and see if you know your stuff. What type classification is this from? Take a look at the serifs. If you said slab serif, you are correct. It looks like a slab. It's very thick. The serifs are thick. The strokes are thick, very bold, almost like a slab itself. What about this one? Okay, take a look at the cross, the axis across here. The actual serif is to have a serif. Take a look at the T there. Humanist, that's the humanist classification. Okay, this one's a piece of cake. What do you think this one is? Take a look at the serif, you know how thin they are. We just talked about that. If you said modern, you are correct. This is a modern typeface. This one's a little bit tougher. What do you think this one is? Take a look at the serifs. Transitional. So if you thought about transitional, you are correct. And of course, what do you think this is? This is going to be an easy one. Does it have serifs? No. So it's going to be sans serif without serifs. And what the heck is this? Oh, it's decorative. We talked about that. Lastly, which one is old style, you think? First, second, third. Take a look at the tops and the serifs as well. I mean, it's pretty much the same. A little difference on the bottom, but look at that top part on the upper right-hand corner. This third one is the old style. You can see a little kind of curve on the top there. Now you're able to use a critical eye when looking at type that's all around you. So now you can kind of look around and start pointing out certain things and kind of understand what works, what doesn't work.